to butcher his last name. Uh, Kapahulehua is. I'm not sure, Kimokeo, if I pronounced that correctly, but he'll be speaking about the Hawaiian Outrigger Voyaging Society, and we've got Lynda Roberts here from the Calgary Canoe Club to introduce him as well. We are recording today's session, so if you make any contributions to today's call, note that your contribution will be recorded and posted onto YouTube, so that if you remain on or make any contributions, you're consenting to that posting on YouTube without any compensation. Okay, so I'll just hand it off to Graham first, and then he'll hand it off to Lynda, I believe. Graham Galvez is CORA director, and he has kindly arranged with Lynda and Uncle Kimokeo to give the talk today.
Thank you, Ron. So as we said before this, the CORA town hall today is bringing together some pretty special guest speakers, Uncle Kimokeo, and I'm just gonna say Uncle. It's a long name, many names. I'll just keep it short and say Uncle. From Hawaii Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society, and Lynda Roberts from Calgary Canoe Club to share with us some of their history and adventures of Polynesian voyaging. But a little icebreaker first. I would love to know how the two of you met. Uncle, Lynda, how did you guys get to know each other?
Oh, I think Lynda will have to help me with that.
Yeah, okay. I'll go, Uncle. My first trip to all of Hawaii was in 2005. A group of us from Calgary went out there, and we actually camped on the piece of property that is now home to Hawaiian Ocean Voyaging Society. I think I had all of maybe 5 years of outrigger under my belt at that time, and I was doing like big races. Gibson's, I think, was the biggest water I'd ever been in, because we were doing length of the lake and Cologne and clubs like that. So I still see my first trip there in 2005 is my first mini voyage. Uncle took us out to Molokini Island, and yeah, it was a bit of an eye opener for me. Amazing to meet Uncle at that time, and that was the first time I met him. And I'll keep this short, but basically what happened is I saw him in Sacramento in 2008, and then for the IVF World Sprints, and then in 2010, literally 2 weeks before we got to New Caledonia, the torch had been passed to Calgary. Penticton originally was going to host the World Sprints, and we kind of went, whoa, okay, I mean, we got to do something about this. So I reached out to a couple people. We were scrambling to get this together, and it's like, okay, Calgary, I think we can do it. So as soon as I got to New Caledonia, I found Uncle. I sought him out, and I said, Uncle, like, Calgary is now going to be hosting the 2012 World Sprints, and I know I need to get this right. Like, we've got to, really do ourselves proud with understanding the cultural component. So what do I do? And true to typical Kimokeo, he just looked at me and he said, oh, well, you come to Maui and you paddle with Uncle. There's a race in September called Pailolo, and you bring a crew and you do Pailolo. And I was, okay, I've done Gibson's. I don't know what Pailolo is, but I mean, I'm sure that how hard can that be, right? So that was the start of school for me, is taking this group to Maui. I think it probably took us 2 hours to rig the canoe there on the beach that day, because everything became school at that point with Uncle, like teaching us how to do it and talking culture and learning. And anyways, there you go. That's the history for me, how we got going.
Yeah, great story. From Gibson's to Pailolo, just like that.
Yeah.
So we have a slide deck for the first half of our town hall, and we kind of orchestrated this so we'd kind of talk about the Hawaii Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society, and then switch over to the whole Calgary Canoe Club experience with the voyaging. You've kind of given us a great intro on that already, Lynda. So you set us up. it's a small slide deck, just 7 slides, and each one of our slides has a link to an online reference, and we'll use each of our slides to kind of jumpstart the discussion, and the slides got a little backstory to it. So yeah, can you, Eric, before you run away there, can you flip to the second slide? That's just our overview. Oh, and by the way, we do have a link on the town hall posting to the Lahaina Recovery GoFundMe. So if anybody's interested in making a little contribution, we would love that. There you go. Beautiful artwork by Eric. Thank you so much. And this is the story that intrigued me. This was the voyage to complete the 1,650, 2,000-mile voyage around the whole Hawaiian archipelago. And I did not know this about Kimokeo. This was his doing, that he was fulfilling the dream of his uncle to connect all the islands by outrigger canoe. And I read this story, and it was just riveting, about paddling 430 miles across open ocean in pitch darkness, with paddlers doing an hour or two at a time. And this voyage set in motion the Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society. So, Uncle, can you just tell us something about that? Because you did that. You did that whole voyage, 2,000 miles out in the open ocean.
I think that, you know, when I had this voyage about my uncle, and Lynda was involved with several of the voyages between the island, and it was about taking the canoe from Mokukeawi, which is better known as the island of Hawaii, all the way to Curie. And that was in the early 2000s. And so we're actually, you know, when Lynda said she met me in 2005, we just completed our first leg from Big Island to Maui. The first time we ever took such a open ocean water voyage. And our crew continues to ask, they said, what's next? And so we've always paddled to Molokai and Oahu. And I said, well, you know, maybe we should do Oahu to Kauai. And so we did Oahu to Kauai. But I think that Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society, you know, you had many members, and all of us look not just towards paddling, but towards what we call inclusive environment, staking connection and stay connection with, you know, the heavens, the ocean, the land, and the people. And in this chant, it says so. Leo, Leo, male, ika, uka, ho, la, lele, ma, kamakai, o, ka, papalaye, he, kumu, ho, ia, ma, loko, ina, kapu, unu, yo, wahune, la, ye, he, anue, ko, vale, no, ae. He ai ke kanaka e kumu maloko he ana e wakawa hai anu kaukala o kale yo he anu e valeno ai. The beginning of the chant, it says that we ask permission from the people of the heaven called Napoi Kalani, the people of the ocean Napoi Kamawana, and the people of the land Napoi Kohonua, and that we're going to enter the heavens, the ocean, the land. And we're asking permission, and they grant this permission with the idea that we're going to take care of the heavens, ocean, land, and the people, and pass it on the future to come. Our canoe in the front is called Manu Ihu, the kani, feed and clothe and protect the family. The palikai, Kialakai ko Mau Kupuna, is the name of the canoe that we used, that my uncle named it and blessed it. Kialakai ko Mau Kupuna, the pathway of our ancestors. The body is our kino. We need to take care of ourselves so we can take care of our family. The seat is called noho, kupono. Who are we? What are we? What are we doing? And where are we going with the va'a? The base in between, we call it pepeao. Ho'olohe, listening to the people of the heavens, the ocean, and the land. And it's wrapped by what we call the cotton rope. But yesterday it was wrapped by kaula, which is the senef of a dry coconut. The senef, we use the finer of the senef on the top for our fires. The shell we use as a knife, the cup, the shell we use as a cup. The juice we drink, the meat we eat, and the leaves we use for our houses and our clothes. And the post we use for our power drums and the foundation of our homes. And the yaku and ama, we have it as called pono. And know how to be balanced and be truthful with everyone. In the back is Monohope, the female. She's a sacred one bringing us the new generation. Just with the canoe, we call it the family of the Va'a. Just with that basis that we had ideas that we did finally made it to Kauai. And we said that what was next for us. And what was next for us was going on the lake from Kauai to Nihoa, which is about 168 miles. Nihoa to Mokomanamana, another 200 miles. Mokomanamana to Laysan, and Laysan to Curie, the last voyage. And you noted that it was that we had various crews from everywhere. And we also had women with us. We never did leave the canoe without having a woman in the canoe, but it was always being connected. We call Ao the tide, Holoka'au the current, Nalu the wave, Kamakani the wind. I was told by our Lake Kumu Kili Tawa that Pele had two paddlers. One was Ao the tide and Holoka'au the current. They took her from island to born those islands. As you know, Kuri was the eldest of all the islands. We say Namokupuni Nakupuna, the elder island of Hawaii. And so he said that Pele had this Ao and Holoka'au as the paddlers. And in front of the canoe, he had Kumuho'ali'i, which was her brother, and he was a large shark. And he guided her every way he went to build the island. And so we follow this mythology of Kumukili and knowing that the fire goddess, known Pele, created all these islands and that we should always be thankful to her. So in our voyage, we always express to her our mahalos for creating all these things for us. And so our voyage started, Outrigger Canoe Voyaging started in the year 2003. And ever since then, we've been voyaging. And share a little bit of Lynda paddled with us from Oahu to Kauai, so she can share with that experience with you about going from Oahu to Kauai. Lynda?
Thanks, Uncle. Graham, did you want to jump in and add anything in there or direct us in any direction?
Actually, this is what I was hoping would happen, that we would just kind of have a topic come forward and the two of you have this incredible back and forth. So we'll move to the next slide whenever you get to the place where like you've talked what you want to say. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. I think right there, everything that Uncle just spoke to really just gives you that sense of the spiritual connection. You know, the land, the ocean, and I walked into that. That was my experience to start ocean paddling. And I think, you know, speaking about the paddlers that we know that go out to Hawaii, you've kind of got one extreme to the other. You're going to get the guys that are just going out there to do the Maliko downwind run and kind of hammer and do these races, which is fantastic. It is. But I was just very fortunate to be immersed in the cultural component of it right away. And when you get out there and you see the ocean, and it's scary, you know, for somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience out there. But when you have that attachment, like a pule, for instance, right? So you've got 12 of us, and we're about to like leave the beach. My first big voyage was from Oahu to Kauai, actually, before I went from Big Island. And you're leaving the beach at midnight, and it's dark out, and you know you're just going 90 miles to the next ocean, and you don't really know what's out there. But as a team, you're on the beach there, and you're doing a pule together. And then it's like, again, Uncle refers, you know, you're putting the tea leaf in the ocean, and Mahalo Kanaloa, the god of the sea. You just feel like you're more a part of it. and kind of trusting, I think, the ocean and everybody to look after each other. So it's just a very different feel than doing any kind of a race per se. And you know, you've got to kind of settle in, right? Like it's 16 hours, hour on, hour off, hour on, like in the dark, you know, and you're pretty sure that the going that way, but you know, just learning and getting the little bit of the knowledge about celestial navigation. And I mean, it's just a world into itself. So me, I think again, we'll talk more about that, but for people that haven't experienced that, that would be my takeaway is you know, like spend a little time, like really learn the cultural component of the outrigger canoe in itself. And even Queen Lily, I know a lot of us get out to there, but really take the time to go to the cultural events and learn, and then it just makes it so much more rewarding, and the impact on you just being out on the ocean. So that's kind of my short take on that part of it, I think. But yeah, I've been very fortunate to do a number of the voyages with Uncle, and they're all an adventure in themselves, obviously, with all of the elements that he spoke to, right? Like obviously the weather, and some are you know, pretty light wind and easy and to manage, and others are, man, heck of a challenge, and you just got to put your head down and keep going and just sort of trust in everybody around you. And boy, but you always come away from that, you know, not thinking about the real challenging, scary part, but oh, okay, I got to go back again. You know, I really wanted to experience that again. So it's been life altering for me. I see Pep's on there as well, John Amundsen, and he's done a number of voyages with Uncle and us as well, and the Molokai races and that. So be good for him to jump in too.
Right.
Short spiel.
Haina mai and a couple one. Yeah, story's gonna unfold, and that's the way the story unfolds. Yeah, we voyaged. We done, you know, Pailolo, then around the backside of Lanai, across the Lanai Channel a whole bunch of times. I've done the I haven't done, the only one I haven't done is the Oahu to Kauai, but doing the other ones, and there is this appreciation. See, what we see on Maui is many people that are appropriating. So you'll see, you know, like guys like us, you know, put on a kihei and blow the conch in the evening, and Kimokeo, my brother, we call each other brothers sometimes. Sometimes we get along, right? That's an expropriation of the cultural elements. When you step in with Kimokeo, it's an appreciation. Okay, and appreciating a culture is very different from expropriation. So you know, what this voyaging is to the Hawaiians is what our powwows are here for our First Nations folks. I have some pretty good connections with those folks and participate in their culture. And cross culture is a powerful two-way street. It's a powerful two-way street. It isn't bringing the other to us. It's us, you know, reaching out and letting them other us, letting them bring us in. So I don't know. Good story. We went around the backside of Lanai and also hit Mahele Bay, and there's a huge surf, and you got, you know, all these old guys in the boat, and we're going to sleep on the beach and then paddle to Lanai the next day. And Kimokeo, you know, my brother, we pull up, and he says, I don't want to do the accent, but he goes, okay, you guys just paddle. You just paddle 10 hours. And he says, you want to paddle 10 hours and break your back in the surf. And in we go, right? So a lot of good adventures. I could tell the time he pulled my toenail off too, but we'll save that another story. Anyway.
I think that sharing the voyage with everyone is about the secret. We always have the known, like we talk about paddling the races like Pailolo, the Queen of the Okalani. But when we voyaging, it's something that everybody has gone out to the unknown. And as you guys know that the weather condition changes on us, you know, in a second, it can be really flat and later on be really windy with some waves. In the dark, it's a little different thing. When we paddle in the pool, we have a secret that we never get to see. So paddling in the darkness has been an amazing thing for all of us to find out that how everything works out there without not seeing everything and knowing that the wind, the tide, the current, the waves, and bouncing out there and finally finding yourself fit and going into the direction you should be. But I think I should share with you early in the 2000 that we went up to, Uncle wanted to get a core canoe, and this was a thing about getting a core canoe and be more connected to the culture. So we finally went up and Haleakala in early 2000 and get us a log. You can see that on Kia Canoe Club core expedition of us bringing a canoe down. And we got it down and working with a carver. His name is Fafa. He's from Tahiti. He taught us about, staying in touch with the forest. It's really important that we have the forest and how to take care of the forest and how to replant in the forest so that we always have a tree to make a canoe. So that was a big thing for Uncle Kimokeo to go up and get a core tree and make a core canoe and stay connected with the land, stay connected with the heavens and the ocean. And ever since then, we appreciate our past or late Fafa, who had made the canoe for us and passed away now. And he made us understand that how we have to appreciate the forest and make sure to take care of the forest so the forest can take care of canoes. And we should always be planting trees. So while we're talking about Lahaina, this is one of the things that we'll be doing, replanting trees for Lahaina. So taking care of the forest will help us build back the green in Lahaina. But more importantly, that the canoe came from the forest, and we're blessed with Kukua Manotea, which was the first canoe went up. And then Hawaiian Canoe Club asked the same rancher if they could go up. And so Hawaiian Canoe Club have a canoe that they've made and won many, many championships like Kihei with their core canoe. Then later on, we also went up and made a canoe for Hana Canoe Club. So on Haleakala, we was able to bring that. But staying connected with the forest meant a lot to us. And Kumo taught us about all the things that was used for making canoes and the parts. And more importantly, what medicinal plants is up there and how we should take care of the forest so we can take care of the birds. The birds need the plants. So we learned the combination of things with the culture of being connected at all the time. So ever since then, we've Pep and Lynda and John Roberts and others have already voyaged themselves on the Vancouver Islands, and they've all voyaged in the islands. And the voyages always have a secret out there, and we would not know it until we actually there. So, and today voyaging really plays an important role, how to stay connected to Mother Earth and what Mother Earth does for us. And I think there's another person that voyaged with Uncle in the Edmondson. Not Edmondson, but who else is on there, Lynda?
Who's on the call? I'm not sure, Uncle. Didn't look.
Okay, but anyway, I think that we when Lynda asked Uncle about Calgary Canoe Club doing it is 2012.
Yeah.
The World Spring.
Yeah.
And so that was a big culture connection between Calgary Canoe Club and Uncle saying that, Lynda, you need the First Nation to come and get involved with us because we need to ask them permission to go into their water. And of course, was it what, Glenmore?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the drinking water.
Yeah.
And so I told Lynda that we need the First Nation to allow us to go and paddle in the drinking water. So she managed to get a talking chief for them, and we started conversations. And part of the conversation came about that, the canoes and the water and, and the blessing. And so we were successful in having the Sixini tribe.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so we were there actually able to get them come out and build a teepee for the World Sprint. And it was learned the culture that the women built a teepee, and Uncle was going to spend the night in a teepee to be a permission on the paddling there. So it was kind of an experience for Uncle because you guys have snakes there, and I built up my whole wall inside there to make sure keep the snakes because the children around there was catching snakes by Lynda's office, and I said, oh my God. But anyway, I think the culture exchange that we had with Calgary Canoe Club, the tribal nation, I think there was 4 or 5 of them, Lynda?
Yeah, 7. Yeah, Treaty 7. Yeah. Yeah.
And we had it set up where we would go inside and ask permission and present gifts to them on the island over there. We all paddled over with dragon boats and got over there and lined up on the outside and present to Lynda and to the tribal nations from every nation that showed up there and give them the gifts. And that was a big thing. And ever since then, they came to paddle with the Queen of Leo. And Lynda's worked with Geronimo. So the idea of voyaging is just not to, paddle. It's really to get involved with nature and people and integrate both and how we can be amongst each other and still live a regular life, And so that was really interesting to be with that. Then our children went to a powwow and they were driven hours and hours and wondered where they're going to go. And finally they got to the powwow and they were very ecstatic as what they seen at the powwow. And ever since then, we've been on a journey at the Pacific Northwest in 2013 and all the way up to now that we're doing the journeys and voyaging with them up at the Pacific Northwest with the tribal nation. Last year was Makashut. This year is going to be Puyallup. And a year before that was the Lummi, but we paddled with 50 tribes and about 135 canoes. In the end, we end up with 25 indigenous paddles. So this what voyaging does is connect with inclusive culture, inclusive health, inclusive environment, inclusive health of the land, ocean, and heaven, and the people, and how we can paddle with our canoe. So the canoe voyaging is really a key to be connected to what we call the heavens and the ocean, the land, and not just racing, but being able to connect with all of those. So we was very fortunate that Uncle was very fortunate was able to have many people of Canada that voyaged with Uncle. So I welcome everyone to come voyage with us here in Hawaii.
Yeah, jumping in. Sorry, one of the things that happens when we go over is it isn't just always out on the ocean in the canoe. We've harvested tea leaves and sat down and made tea leaf leis that go with Kimokeo when he makes these mile-long leis to go in honor or to respect, to bring love, aloha, and respect to different places and events in the United States. Other times we go and we repair the fish pond wall. And we go down and they say, this wall was a family. And all these rocks are now scattered. And our job is to dig them out of the sand, put them back, and bring the family back together. So there are many more things than just out on the water and paddling.
Yeah, maybe can I add to that? And again, I want to get talking about what Uncle and Anella and they actually do there as part of HOCVS and the visitor paddler component, because I think we want to encourage any members of our club to go out there and get the cultural components and bring it back. And I get it. If you haven't been there, I mean, you're not all going to stand around at your canoe club starting to do poules, but there's so much that we can learn. We all care about taking care of our equipment and our canoes. And we have, some of us launch from a beach and a dock, and the boats are going in, they're going out, just the equipment care. And I think just the one thought of respecting the boat and treating it like a living spirit, which they do in Hawaii. I cringe when I see people jump over the canoe onto the other side, right? Just some of the little cultural components. It's just to respect our equipment and really care for it. And Uncle went through all the parts of it. So Uncle, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys do with the visitor paddlers, and because everybody's welcome to go down and be a part of that, right? You don't have to go as a team and be doing a race or anything. Just all the people that are on vacation, like take the time and we can go through that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that what Lynda said is that Uncle's been out there voyaging, and now we brought that down to Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society, which is down Bully Land. It's called Bully Land, and when you arrive there, you can sign up. And we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, visitors paddle. And then you just sign up on the site, and we give you a culture tour. The culture tour includes all what Lynn talk about, the chants, and we take them down to the fish pond, and it's an hour and a half too. But I think just the beginning of your introduction of culture. And Tuesday, Thursdays, we go out at 5 o'clock with a team that voyaging during the year. We had our voyaging team just returned yesterday. They voyaged across the Molokini and back with the Tahitian groups. And before that, they just came from Asataki and voyaged out there with the Cook Islands. And prior to that, it's our 22nd year. Anela and the team came back from Okolani there. So you're always welcome to sign up with us and want to voyage over there. But more importantly, that we have a celestial navigation night, and every Tuesday, Thursday at 4 o'clock, we have a culture practice in chants and hula and ukulele. So we're always introducing that for the general public. Then for the children, we also have Ho'olukaiki. They have a special program that Anela designs with them about knowing the canoe, knowing the mountain, and knowing songs and dances and chants that she has. Ho'olukaiki, which is growing with the knowledge, and that's from 9-year-old to 14-year-old and up. But we're always doing something with that Thursday nights, special night of learning ukulele. So everyone here is right now practicing for the protocol of going to the Gathering of the Eagles up in Seattle, and that's paddling from Anacortes to San Juan to Pedro, and then on to Orchid, and then on to Lamy Island. So they're practicing the protocol of the canoe. So it'd be really great that if you go to wearevoyagers.org, you get on our schedule, and we really want to make sure that it's just not a paddling race or from island to island, but really teaching you and introducing you to the culture. And so we have a full moon every month. We have a full moon canoe ride, and prior to that, we go over the moon schedule and show you the components of a full moon, what it does for agriculture, what it does for fish. There's a full moon, when to plant, when not to plant, when to harvest. Same with the fish, when not to touch it, we call it kapu, so they can time for born the babies and time to get it. And it tells you all the different times of the moon schedule. So you have agriculture, fish, and then a spiritual part. And so we're always doing that weekly, daily, monthly. Today, we just start off. Today is what date today is? 17th, I think. Then we're going to be for 5 days. We're going to do Ho'omoana, which is Gathering of the Voyagers. So Anela Gutierrez is my successor. She's the executive director. She runs Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society. She's been doing that for a couple of years now. Reason she has been chosen as a successor. She's been a voyager with Uncle, and she's done voyages with other people and voyages. She was responsible for us to be in the tribal journeys since 2013. And ever since then, Anela and the members has been doing the tribal journeys, and they're right now preparing for Gathering of the Eagles. After that, Puyallup and Montana. So we're not so much a competition club, but we do compete with different various clubs. We have about every club on the island belongs to Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society, or one time or another, to come and learn. And so we make sure that we're available for that. So we welcome you as an individual, as a family, as a crew, but it's all aloha, unconditional love, respect, care, and share. Ohana kawa'a. We are a family of the canoe, and we are waiting to share this with you. So you can call us anytime.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, like Lynda Pep was saying that you learn to make lei. So we teach you the activities of what they call the ahupua'a, living culture as a canoe family. And making leis is one of the things that we do in teaching everybody, because once you give the lei to one person, you've entrusted this person, with the chant And it goes, Kale maela wo kaula ike kai ke malama lama wo ni e haua mali e pa kai nu vaela ke inu maela he na hala una wea ike kai no na wea ka hala no puna ka wahine no kalua no ikila wea. We present you the lay of aloha, unconditional love, respect, and care and share. And now we've entrusted you with our heaven, our ocean, and land, and we expect you to care for it and pass it on to all the generations to come. And this is inclusive of environment, inclusive of culture, and inclusive of all people. So we welcome you on Kalei Maila. And we've taught many of Lynda's camp about the fish pond, about lei making. And recently we've taken them to Kipuka Uluwalo and learned about the taro. But Lynda's been with us and others been with me around Maui, not only on the ocean, but on the land, and learning how to preserve, perpetuate, educate our culture here on Maui. And we love sharing that, and we love for people to show respect and care for that. So welcome to Maui.
Uncle, I gotta say, I'm thrilled that you have already blown through all of the slides, almost all of the slides in our deck. Because usually I go like, okay, next slide, but you have pretty much covered all the topics I was dying to hear about: the visitor paddle and the youth camp and the voyaging camp. And you touched on something that I really wanted to ask you about, and that was the succession. Because Anela was there before, and we've had a few emails back and forth. But I wanted to ask you about what you have done to grow this society and some of the individuals you have, like Anela and Tyson and Malama and Cesario. Yeah. How do you engage with all these individuals to be part of what you're doing and plan for the future? That's my big question here.
Well, Uncle and everyone here, as the family of the canoe, we're giving from our ancestors this gift, and how do we take it 400 years forward? So if we're looking at that, we're looking at 2824, 2,824. So Anela has worked with all these practitioners. You know, she paddles with Malama on the Renegades, and he makes Malama paddles. Cesario, we've been in communication with Cesario for a few years. We actually right now working with Cesario and Palau and Hawaii, Maui, Hawaii, and Taiwan of trying to get a double hull canoe and sail from Palau to Hawaii, Hawaii to Palau, Palau to Taiwan, Taiwan to Palau, and then Taiwan, Palau to Hawaii, and vice versa, and work with what you call the gathering of the voyages. And this was Anela's thing. So when you pass on your work to someone like Anela, she expounds on it and gives her the opportunity to think about voyaging and have her own voyaging ideas. And in this voyaging ideas, it's really out there in the ocean. And the gathering of the voyages is to power the women of the sea that on a canoe, that we think that their women captains and women navigators deserve a canoe. So we want to dedicate gathering of the voyages. And this was Anela's idea of empowering the women to paddle, not to paddle, but to sail back and forth under the direction of Cesario and his father, Maupi Alug, and sharing that information. Of course, we have our own Polynesian Voyaging Society, which is our a big group, and my uncle was part of that group. And so we truly pay respect and highly thankful for Polynesian Voyage Society today. And I know Thompson will continue to share it with the world. But we're just a segment of that voyaging new part of trying to have women empowered to work under the education of Cesario, who is the son of Maupi Alug, to have them to sail back and forth to Hawaii and to Palau, to Taiwan, and back to Palau, and same as Hawaii and to Palau. So mainly all of that would be working with younger students and younger things. So right now we have the gathering, the Moana camp that's here, and Cesario's here. Tyson is here. Tyson just had a race to Molokini yesterday with 14 canoes, including Tahitian family here and everything else, and working with our canoe clubs here. So we're really, really happy that we have Tyson on here that's training our paddlers here on the island. And so, and then you have Malama, of course, makes the only wooden paddles. And for the longest time of the year, we have Uncle Jimmy Hidani does the same. They're both the only two people on the island that makes racing paddles. But we have Junior Palos. He makes custom paddles with the CORA. And so we're just fortunate that Anela heading off Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society is taking it to a different level. And that's what happened when you turn it over to a person like Anela. And so she's been given this opportunity, and she's done really, really well with that. And it was her school that developed what Holukaiki, growing with the knowledge. When we had the pandemic, she had the students come down to the beach with their iPad and still did the school. And whenever they were not in school with the teachers, they were doing culture with the canoe, culture with the land, and was able to keep the pandemic kids, children here at the beach while they were in pandemic. So Ho'olukaiki, Gathering of the Voyagers, Ho'omoana Camp. This was designed and cultured by Anela Gutierrez, who's the executive director of Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society. So I'm really, really happy of what she's doing with it. And really, really happy how the question you asked about Malama. She paddles with Malama on a Sunday. Every Sunday she paddles out there. So she's got in this relationship and brought him into the camp of what we call preserve, perpetuate, educate everyone with the Malama paddle about the wood and what it means and everything else. So we're very fortunate that Malama Chan here makes a Hawaiian traditional paddle, and we're so fortunate to have him in our island and our camp. And Tyson is being a really educator for the youth and educator for the club in canoe and OC1. And so we're so fortunate him too. Cesario, this is second trip with us. He's going to make the third trip with us at the Festival of Pacific. But before the year is over, we'll have Cesario here 4 times to Maui and sharing his knowledge from his father on the celestial navigation and sailing on the open sea from here to Maui to Palau, and Palau back to Maui, and Palau to Taiwan. So we're really glad. So I would credit my executive director, Anela Gutierrez, for harvesting these practitioners and bringing them to the camp.
You, how do I say this? I try to read between the lines when I see a lot of messages, and I saw a message from Anela to you saying, the opening day of the camp is Sunday, Uncle, but you're going to be at a CORA town hall. And what I kind of sensed from you was saying to her, Anela, you got this. You take
Exactly.
it. You do the opening.
Exactly.
And it was like the handing of the torch to her without saying a word. I really loved what you did there. The acknowledgement to her.
Well, I acknowledge to her that she is not only capable, but she's living it. She's living it by coordinating all these things I told you about at the Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Voyaging Society. So besides that, there's a daily operation. So being executive director with Uncle, it's almost like 8 days a week, you know, 36, not 7. That kind of compassion and that kind of dedication, as well as what Lynda and Pap and everybody do in the canoe clubs. It's we're not fueled by economics, we're fueled by the passion and the people that we have with us. And this is what makes us drive ourselves, being creative, motivated, and passionate about what we do, and so it's a living thing. And having to be a voyager, you have to live that and be prepared because you deal with different climatic change. We talk about climatic change. Everything can change in a minute, and everything can change in an hour or a day. And when you're out there voyaging, it will change, and you have to expect to change. And I think that's the thing that's keeps us all in tune, that you got to be on it, because the waves might come, the wind might change, your crew will change, your power will change. All of this, you have to be prepared for it. So, being in tune with the spirit, and it's not a religious thing, it's a humane thing that we all do. And that's why we're in the water paddling with our OC1, V1, OC6, OC12, because we stay connected. And we stay connected not only with nature, but we stay connected with ourselves. And if we don't do that, it's hard to have one paddle, one stroke, one canoe versus 3 paddles, 4 strokers, and 10 steersmen. So we all go out there voyaging with the concept that we want big ohana, we want family. So we need to stay connected with that. And so in voyaging, it's a little bit more than just racing. You need to be connected, and you want to be in the canoe with each other. You want to be in the canoe, and you want to be able to get back on the escort boat and get back on the land. Did you see that? Well, you the one did that. Each one of us have to be connected to each other to make sure that we don't flip the canoe, and make sure that the actions we take is about a family action. We're all one.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And then just to add to that too, Graham, is I think that would be the greatest demonstration of leadership that we could be proud of, and that speaks to all of us that coach at Outrigger clubs is trusting our paddlers to take that leadership role and jump in there. Kimokeo's done that to me. All of a sudden I'm in a different canoe, and I'm running a whole different team, and he's nowhere to be found. He's in a different canoe. So we have to keep doing that and not be afraid to put people in challenging situations, because we're not always going to be around, and we can't be at all the events. So just keep that in mind. Uncle spoke to that about Anella, and he's done that with me, and I still have to do a lot more work of that with my people too. Trust people and go and let them figure it out and fail sometimes, but we need everybody to be able to be comfortable to step up and take those leadership roles.
We need to make sure that the children before us that we have in our clubs that are taken care of, because they're a good example that we can nurture. And nurturing them for paddling, or nurturing them for steer and everything else, but just having them around, it's part of our living lifestyle, that if we want to preserve and perpetuate, educate, we need to get new leaders and young leaders. And these guys are there. And I think every canoe family has them, and we all have 1 or 2. And today we have, people like Kiko Kramer, Julie Sharp, that was an uncle when they were 12 years old, and are running the top teams in Hawaii. But I think that we need to focus on the youth and make sure that we involve our youth with the canoe and with what we're doing, so that they can do that. Today, we can have all the youth right now rig the canoes, Gus in California with Nicole Kai, he made sure that all his youth rigs the boats. So if they come to the Queen Liliuokalani, Uncle makes them rig all the canoes for us, and help the other canoe clubs, because it's not only for help them, but to help them, to teach them the traditional way of tying and everything else. So the youth is really the key to preserve and perpetuate and educate and the future. But I think for all of us, what we need to add is that we need to maintain the culture, we need to sustain it, and we need to keep on gaining and keep on learning more from other people. Today, Uncle is traveling the world. I leave next Sunday to go to Japan and paddle with Duke Kaneko from Hiroshima to Nagasaki. And we've been paddling with Duke on it for many, many years. And now we have other people like Brazil, Canada, you know, all over the world. We have Hong Kong, we have Singapore, we have Taiwan. Taiwan has 16 tribes. So the other idea is that we need to know that we are connected with other people around the world. But importantly, all of us need to know how to preserve, perpetuate, educate cultures, inclusive culture, inclusive environment, inclusive people. He moku kawa, he kawa, he moku. There's an island in a canoe and a canoe in an island, and we're all in that canoe.
Nice.
And we're going to hold more together. Holo is to go, more is forward with the most positive action, positive thoughts, positive feelings. So as voyagers, this is the message we pass to each other. Before we get in a canoe, while we get out of the canoe, there'll be no one else that has some feeling against each other. We just have one feeling, and that's aloha, showing respect to each and every paddler. Doesn't matter how he or she paddles, we still need that paddler in there with us as a family. So the voyaging is always staying connected with heavens, ocean, land, and our own ohana. We always need to be connected.
Wow.
There you go. Way to wrap it. Yeah.
No, wait, no, I've got one last slide, and it's really personal to me. It's the final slide for me. And I don't know what you're going to follow up with, Lynda, but this has been great. My first knowledge of the voyaging was this right here. Because I would go to Queen Lilio, the Queen's Race, pretty much every other year. And I would always hook up with, you know, a crew from Seattle or Portland or Tacoma or all over the place. And we'd go to the Sunday luau, you know, for the boards and the banquet and the music and whatever the beer sponsor was of the day. But then at some point during the day, friends would say, I got to go. I got to go up island because I'm getting up very early in the morning to paddle 54 miles from the Big Island to Maui. And I was always intrigued about that. I'm like, 54 miles. You just did like 3 or 4 days of racing, and now you're doing a crossing on this insane channel. And like, yeah, but Uncle Kimo, he's going to be there. He's going to make sure it all goes fine. And I've never done this, but every time some of my friends do this, they just come back with this incredible recollections of people they met for the first time, because it's just usually strangers show up and they go. So, Uncle, Lynda, what can you tell us about this particular voyage? Because I know it's not the only one you do, but this is the one that always intrigues me most.
Yeah, I'll let Uncle speak in, but it's so expensive to ship canoes, right? So, you know, you put the canoe on Matson from Maui and you got to get it over to Big Island, and we rig them and we help all the teams rig them. And I think Uncle's just a practical guy. He's like, well, why would we ship them back? We just paddle them home, saves us money and gets everybody involved. So Graham, obviously we've just missed you at the party, because I can recall sometimes, you know, we've got a crew set, and then you get some of the local Hawaiian guys that have done this a few times, and they're like, you know what, we're having a good time. I think we're actually just going to stay here tonight and take a pass on the voyage. And I think the first time Pep and I did it with Uncle, all of a sudden we're like 5 paddlers down. So we're literally walking around that venue just going, hey, you interested in going back to Maui? You could get a flight, figure it out. So that's just, I guess, bad luck, bad timing on your part that you haven't been recruited before. I think that's happened a number of times that I've done that voyage, is thrown a few people in there. And it's been quite a wild ride for them, quite an adventure. They all didn't, you know, fare as well as everybody else, but me too. I mean, the first time I paddled, oh, I was sick as a dog, just the seasickness, right? You get used to it eventually, but it's definitely an adventure. And the channel, obviously, between Big Island and Maui is the deepest channel of the Hawaiian Islands. So if you're going to get any big, exciting water, that's the one that you're going to get for sure. So basically, I think you gotta put your hand up, and I'm sure Uncle can make it happen and get you.
I would love to make it happen, and I think Lynda put it really right. You know, it was just a practical thing for us to. We're actually paying almost $600 to ship the canoe one way now, and it's costing $1,200. And so instead of shipping it back, we're paddling it back. And this is our 22nd year, and next year will be the 23rd year. But I welcome you, Graham, to come on with us. So we'd love to have you on board. And that's the only reason. But more of that is that Uncle had learned that King Kamehameha had a great paddle all the islands and conquer the islands. So I had a dream about paddling like all the islands with him and conquering the islands. But we paddled the islands and we didn't go conquer them, but we just paddled from island to island all the way to Curie. So it was really great to do that, and really great to bring the canoes home without paying to ship it home. And like Lynda said, just raise your hand and we'll arrange that to come back 2025 from Big Island to Maui. I love to have that.
That's a wonderful offer, and I'll walk around with a sandwich board saying, we'll paddle for food.
Nice.
We love to paddle for food too.
Lynda, Uncle, I don't have anything more. This town hall has exceeded all my expectations. What you guys have presented, your friendship and your history and your experiences, and just sharing everything about how this has evolved has been great. I'm just going to step back and let everybody else kind of ask questions, and I thank both of you for spending your time here today and sharing this with us.
I'm available for questions, guys.
Yeah, and thank you, Uncle Kimokeo. Anybody have any questions? You can just unmute yourself and just ask away.
Anybody, Ron?
Nope, I don't have any. I remember meeting you, Uncle Kimokeo, in 2013 at Fleming's Beach, just before the Pailolo Challenge that year. We helped you move canoes away from the shore because there might have been a surge, a small tsunami surge that year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember in 2015 when our race crew for Pailolo was practicing on the Maliko run. You gave us a blessing just before we went out, took the OC6s out in the Maliko run, and that was useful because we hoolied on on that Maliko run. So
it's a blessing.
we all got back in safely and made it back. So yeah.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Uola kamakaloala puka ike aloha puka ia kahalavaela pave hemai na lehua mai ko okuia kahalavaela mahalo e na akua mahalo e na kapuna la ea mahalo me ke aloha la mahalo me ke aloha la e mahalo ia oi e no CORA, Canadian Outrigger Racing Association Ohana. Mahalo.
Thanks very much.
Ron, just I'll pass it over to you just for closing remarks, but I just want to say to everybody that the proceedings from today's meeting will be posted on the CORA website in about 24 hours, so you can refer to it. And also with Lynda's suggestion, we'll post a link or two to a couple of videos that might be of use to you, to the audience. I want to thank everybody in the audience for coming, and I'll move it over to Ron for closing remarks.
Yeah, and thanks again, Uncle Kimokeo. Thank you, Lynda, and thanks, Graham, for organizing this this town hall. And as Graham mentioned, we still have the GoFundMe page set up. You can link it through the CORA website for the Lahaina Recovery Fund. That CORA will be sending some funds over to the Hawaiian Canoe Racing Association over there. And up next on the town hall series, April 14th, mark your calendars, Sunday, April the 14th. we'll be doing a basic overview of change race logistics. So this year, Vernon will be resurrecting their freshwater challenge. It'll be a beach change out race, but I think some of the principles that apply for a regular change out race can also apply to the Vernon Freshwater Challenge, which will be June 30th. So that having the town hall in April will give you a lot of time to plan for that. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you in Hawaii, Uncle Kimokeo.
Mahalo, eh? No,
Thanks, guys.
Mahalo.
Kora ohana kukua no Lahaina. Aloha.